Hey everybody, Ellen Jody here, coming to you with the first high school dance PLC for March for the Godot Communities platform. We are talking today about arts advocacy, community engagement, and community building in the dance classroom. Hopefully you are making it through the year. I can't believe it's March already, so hopefully you're doing good. As we move further into spring semester, I'm sure you're all looking at your next year's rosters and the numbers with wide eyes. I know I am. My school has already completed registration for the 21-22 school year. Not going to lie, it's a little bit scary. As it stands now, I've got some lower numbers. Things generally change, and I have some bigger numbers in the fall when we actually get into school. But I'm down about 25, 30 kids. My numbers usually hover around 100. And so, 70 is a low number. So I'm freaking out a little bit about that. I got a panic text from one of my other teachers here in the county, and the same thing. Her program's a new program. So this is her third year. So she's brand new. And I think, some of us are just going to have to rebuild, some more than others. Depending on, how established your school is in your community. So this webinar is all the more important because talking about advocacy and community engagement will help us. I won't focus it on all COVID, because this stuff we will do in a normal year anyway, but it's just, I think, very, very important moving into the next year or two to do some of that rebuilding that we're going to need to do. You'll need to engage with your community and get the word out, to the students about your program. I'm thinking maybe for next, as we go, if you haven't registered already for next year, some of our talk can be the fact that kids need an outlet to really express, how the pandemic has, taken a toll on everybody. So dance can be a good way to allow them to express themselves. So that might be one avenue. I'll start with school administration. Are the arts valued at your school? Does your administration know that dance helps students in their core subjects? Do they know all the other benefits from dance? I thought that would be a good place to start. Communicating with your administration is something to think about. I hear a lot of dance teachers talking about how the arts, and especially dance, are not valued at their schools. Sports reign, and sometimes it seems like no one even wants to listen to us and the good that we can do for students. If you're a newer program, or you're an existing program, or you're an existing program with new administration, maybe you struggle to be seen and heard by your school or by the administration, I thought maybe it'd be a good idea to put a fact sheet or a little digestible information packet together about what you do throughout the year, even some statistics on how dance can help support the core subjects. So depending on how your administration is set up, this could go directly to your principal, or an assistant principal, or maybe both, or even the whole administration team. At my school, there's assistant principals over different things. So I would especially want my curriculum office AP to know this information so they have a little bit of a guidance when they're signing kids up, depending on how the registration process goes at your school. And depending, what the relationship is with your administration, if it could go directly to your principal. And then he can send it out, or like I said, just send it to the whole administration team, just so they have this knowledge base of dance and what dance can do. I thought I'd show you some, resources for this. NDEO, the National Dance Education Organization, has some great stuff. Lots of information on their website if you are not already a member. They did an evidence report in 2013. It's called Evidence, a Report on the Impact of Dance in the K through 12 Setting. They have a brochure that you could give to your administration or put in this said packet, or, I say packet, but I don't think I'd want to make it that in-depth because you want it to be digestible and quick and easy for your admin to understand, because they won't understand a lot of dance speak. This page one, it's a 2-page brochure. This one briefly discusses what the report is and what data they gathered and studied. It basically says that dance can have a positive impact on student achievement, teacher satisfaction, and school culture. It says, and I quote, This evidence is especially useful to legislators, administrators, teachers, parents, and students advocating for dance in their districts, unquote. So this is exactly what we're talking about today. Here's page 2, and this has a little bit more broken down information about different states and some different outcomes. This was a good one to look at and perhaps give your administration. You can pull up the full evidence report. Here's the link. I can put the link in the discussion post, so you have that at your fingertips. Another thing I found, and you may have already seen this article, it's titled "Why Dance is Just as Important as Math in School." It's an easy read, and maybe something else you can give to your administration as a reference to get their attention to advocate for dance and for your program. If you feel like you aren't being heard at your school, putting together a short information sheet, including something like the report that you just saw from NDEO and a link to the actual report possibly. This article is another good link. And then a rundown of all the things you would do with your students during the school year. So for me, that would be our 2 major shows a year. So we do these 2 major productions. We are the choreographers for our Miss Brookwood Scholarship Pageant. We have our countywide dance day, which we do. We usually go to the Kennesaw State Dance Festival. We take a field trip to see Dance Canvas, do their performance in the spring. So I would tick off the things that you're doing, those activities. And then, maybe give that to your administration as just a reference for what you do, what you can give to this community, to your community. Right, so your dance program, the community you will be serving needs to know all they can about you and your program. Maybe they need to know about dance in general. In my experience, not a lot of people know about dance. I mean, they really don't know a lot about dance. It's possible that they know what ballet is. They've most likely seen the Nutcracker. And, of course, this is valid and this is dance, but it really isn't, everything. There's so much more to dance than the Nutcracker. So, and also it's not an established fine arts in our public schools because it's fairly new as that fine art elective in public education. So it's not like we're like chorus or band. So we're newer, and so we have to do this work now. So it's important, and maybe this advocacy and this information starts at the grassroots level by educating the students and the community about what dance is. And maybe it needs to start by just talking about the benefits of dance, and you can use social media. However, what I have on these next couple slides, I'm thinking a little even more less tech, just to get everything going. So how do we do this? We will define, we will explain, and we will describe. So the next 3 slides are brochures that I made for different things. I've handed these out we have an arena registration during lunch. We have Rising 9th grader night, so where they come and they can find an activity after school for clubs or sports. And I put these up here just to give you an idea of something you can do. I created them on canva.com, which is a free and easy app. Canva has changed my life, really. So these, I have it here. These will fold. So there's a picture on there, but this is the brochure that it, comes into. So anyway, I will show you those. So we want to define dance. So define what dance is to your student body and your community. I imagine this is a personal thing. You are passionate about dance. You wouldn't be doing this job if you weren't passionate about dance. So I think they need to see that passion. I think they also need to know who you are. So I think your community and your student body needs to know a little bit about your background. Maybe where did you go to college? Where's your professional experience? Have you taught other places? So defining that first, I think would be good. So this is the one that I give out that just says a little bit about the program. And if you read the little fine print, it says what we do, and then it says our students are eligible for the Governor's Honors Program, dance lettering, membership into the National Honor Society for Dance Arts, and I'm going to get into that in a different webinar. We have County Dance Day, we have the festival, we have, so it goes through everything that we do. So that's just defining that. So explain. So if you've put together a little information sheet for your administration, you've already got that information. So maybe you pare it down and make it a little bit more digestible for your student body and parents in the community. So, you know, I don't know that I would send out a link to the evidence report in that, but you could pare that down and say, these are the benefits of dance. I would even throw in there that, you know, this is a good way for them to get up and get moving because we've all been sitting for a year. So many different ways that you could do that or explain the benefits of dance. And then the third one, this was the brochure I used for the dance team, but describe. I mean, what do you do? So here's where you can tell them what types of dance you will do, what activities, all the, you know, all kinds of stuff. Oh, and I did mention National Honor Society for Dance Arts, which is always a good draw. You would have to start a chapter through the National Dance Education Organization. Here we have a Georgia chapter called DEGA, Dance Educators Society of Georgia, and I'll talk about that a little later today. The Honor Society is set up as a point-based system, and the teacher has a bunch of autonomy as to where to allocate those points. And I think they need 30 points. It's generally as a junior that they can get in. Sometimes I think that my dancers only join so they can collect points so they can get the cords that they wear around their neck for graduation. But I mean, I guess however we can get them in. So I think sometimes that is why they join. We said define dance, we said explain the benefits, and then we said describe what you do. So just a little recap there of those three things. Next, I would brand your program. From the get-go, I have always called my program the Brookwood High School Dance Department, or Brookwood Dance for short. This is what I chose. So something like that. My advice would be to just choose something and stick with it. We have 2 official logos. This is one of them. And so I stick with those for consistency. Our school is really, really particular about this kind of thing. We'd have to have the same colors and the same, you know, they don't want every organization in the school using different logos. So I added a dancer to this one. So I use this one mostly. There we have we're the Broncos, so I have another Bronco head that I will use as well. But so I stick with those 2, and I, of course, with the school colors. In-school advertising is another good way. At my school, we have a specific class that works on school news. So I always put notifications out on our newscast. We have a live newscast. Or we have a scrolling announcements that go during the day. It just scrolls down. We have a big screen and the announcements scroll down. If you have something like that at your school, this is a great way to get the word out about all the different things that you do. When registration time comes around, I make those little brochures that I just showed you into posters, and I send them to the announcement class. I do some recruitment videos, and I will talk about that in the next webinar. Most of the advertising that I do in school is for the major shows that we do. So you can see here, this was our Alice in Wonderland, Who Are You? Performance. And I just make these little posters in Canva, but you could use any online app with templates to use these things. So also we hang these, you know, we take these posters and we hang them around the school as well. They go on social media, and I will talk about that in a minute. We're very lucky. We have a person who's in charge of all this kind of thing. So she always emails and says, keep me in the loop, please. What are you doing? So she'll take care of social media, the official school social media, and she takes care of a couple e-newsletters that are sent out by the school, and they go out to the community at large. So hopefully you have something set up like that at your school and some way to communicate with the community through your school officially, and then through some of your own avenues for your own dance social media accounts. Also, I always get t-shirts. So this poster, so the Who Are You poster turned into a t-shirt. And then on the t-shirt back, it had all the dancers' names on it. So then what we'll do is on the day of the dance show, the opening show, all the dancers will wear their shirt. And so that's another advertisement, and we also sell tickets in the lunchroom. So anyway, the t-shirts are another way. Have made these into t-shirts, and that's another way to advertise for your activities, whatever you might be doing. All right, social media. I'm guessing that a lot of you youngins are probably better at this than me. So, however, Brookwood Dance does have 3 social media accounts. So I've got Twitter and Instagram for the kids, and then I have a Facebook page for the parents, because we all know the kids aren't on. Heck, I don't even know if they're on Twitter anymore sometimes because of Snapchat. This is an area for me personally I need to be better at, because we all know that having a social media presence is so important these days. So like I said, we do have a person who is in charge of our school social media. So luckily, I just send her this type of stuff and she posts it. And then I actually go ahead and just share what she posts. So usually on a good year, I will have the Twitter and the Instagram passwords, and I will hand them to a student that I know I can trust that's on dance council. So this is a senior that I've had for at least 3 years. And she is in charge of posting our posters and our activities on the social media account. Now I say this, just be careful with that. I don't even think I need to tell you why you need to be careful with that kind of thing. Now that person is somebody that I know I can trust. And I'll tell you, some years I don't do it. I didn't do it this year because I did not have one person that I could trust to do it, because most of my dance council is online and I don't see them every day. And so without that trust, that in-person, trust, I see them every day, I just wasn't going to chance it with that. So again, just make sure that you proceed with caution with that thing. But that takes a lot of pressure off of me that I don't have to post everything all the time. And I'm just in charge of the Facebook, since Facebook's for the older people. So anyway, those are the social media. So that's a good, you need to have a social media presence as well. All right, let's get to collaboration. So this can take so many forms. For newer programs, I think collaboration with other departments is so important and helpful. You share audiences, so the shows have more people. I would say for more established programs, sometimes collaboration can seem a little bit like, oh my God, there's so much to do. If you have your set yearly schedule, it's harder, I think, to get with other departments and make that happen. Like here at Brookwood, we're all pretty established. We do our thing every year. We're set, we go, we do. And so trying to collaborate on projects gets hard because we have these set schedules. However, when it happens, and I'm never very sappy, it is a magical thing. So it's pretty amazing once that collaboration happens. It's generally very successful. So collaborating with other fine arts department, I've just threw out a couple of ideas. I mean, there's endless ideas, but have chorus sing live for a dance in one of your shows. Have theater pick a poem or a monologue to read to create a dance and perform to live speaking. I'm doing this for my spring show. Part of my spring show is social justice issues, so they're going to pick an appropriate monologue and we are going to dance to it. Partner with the orchestra to play a whole show. I haven't ever done this. It's my dream. So, hey, if you can make that happen, I think that would be amazing. Have theater students do the lighting for your show. Partner with music tech to write an original song for a dance. Have the art department do an exhibit in the lobby before your show, or have pieces on stage for a dance. Same thing with photography. Have photography come in and take pictures of your dancers and have them exhibit at their exhibits or put in your lobby as well for your show. I have had chorus, a music student write an original song and play it and sing it live during the shows. This was for an Alice in Wonderland show, not the one I showed you there that said, this was years ago. but the language arts department wrote a script, an Alice in Wonderland sort of story. We didn't call it Alice in Wonderland. I couldn't tell you what it was called. And then that chorus student wrote that song, performed it live, and then we choreographed the dances. So it was quite a collaboration. It was really fun. Core subjects, again, there's so many options of things you can do. Have language arts write an original poem to dance to. Like I just said, have language arts write a whole script for a show, like I just said we did. Partner with anatomy. I mean, there's a perfect partnership to do all kinds of things. Math and physics have a lot in common with dance. Math and science are not my strong suit. So, but I'm sure you can figure out many other ideas in that way to do. One of my most fun collaboration ideas that came to fruition was I partnered with language arts and anatomy. So language arts, again, created a whole scripted show for elementary students. And it was about the systems of the body. Again, I can't tell you, it was so long ago, I can't tell you what the title of the show was. And then anatomy worked with dance. So the anatomy kids would come into the dance classes and basically teach us dancers about the systems of the body. We used that information to create our dances. So I had 5 classes. So one class was the nervous system, one class was the muscular system, one class was the skeletal system, on and on and on. And so the show was geared toward elementary school kids. So then we did the show on one day, and we did it many times. And then, first elementary school would come in, sit down, we do the show. Then another elementary school, would come in. So that was a really great collaboration. It took a lot of work. But again, as I said, not being sappy. I mean, it was pretty magical when it was all said and done. So anyway, so here in our county, a lot of the times newer programs will get together with fine arts and do one show, like say a Christmas show, chorus and band and dance. And then that way you're sharing that audience. So you have more audience, and you're getting the word out about your program in that way to more of an audience than you would to just your dancers and your dancers' families. So collaboration is amazing. Community engagement, in my mind, again, this takes many forms as well. I've done all of these things. We've taken little groups to nursing homes. We've done the festivals, local parades. We've done our homecoming parade, and other parades. Dance team. Now here, I was thinking, even if you don't have a dance team, you could, I'm sure, get a small group of dancers together and work it out with with the athletic department at your school to perform at athletic events. Obviously, the official dance team performs at basketball games because it's a winter sport. But you could do anything. One year, the wrestling team asked us to perform, the dance team to perform. So we've done that. I mean, if you work it out with your football team, that would be amazing because football always has an audience. So if you could manage to get some kind of show in that way. So there's many ways to get out there in the community. Maybe even, I was thinking, so I don't know if your school does, I'm sure they do, activities night, or like I said, rising ninth graders night. Even if you could arrange with your administration to do a little performance, maybe not in the theater, but in the cafeteria, or, out front of the school when people are coming in, just little things like that, just ideas about small groups of dancers to get the word out to the community. Feeder programs is another thing, and I'm going to get into more of that next webinar. Here in my county, hardly any of us have feeder programs, only a couple, and they're very new at the middle school level. But I've always wanted to do this, and I never have yet, but have a small group of dancers and arrange for them to go into the elementary schools and into the middle schools to do small performances to get the word out. Even for me, it's hard to get the word out to the middle school that there is dance, in Brookwood. Now, I'm established program, so people do know. But still, there are some people who come in like, oh, I didn't know you had dance. Like, ugh. So another way to do it would be to get a small group of dancers together and take them and arrange for them to perform at the elementary school. Maybe they could have a pep rally or, an assembly that you could perform in. So So community building in your dance classroom. Luckily, in my opinion, this is fairly easy in the dance classroom. The nature of dance allows us to become closer to our students. Our studios are a safe space where the students wear their hearts on their sleeve, so to speak. Relationships form quickly. Part of that, I believe, is my students see my passion for dance, and right away they know I care about them, and they know I care about what we're doing, and I take it seriously. So I get that buy-in from most of them pretty quickly. Sure, there are degrees of this, and occasionally there's a student that I just can't reach. They're hard to reach. But in general, our bonds between each other and between peers in the class form quickly because of the nature of dance. I also make sure that the dance room is a place where they can come in the morning before school and after school. It's their home base. COVID has made that a little different, but nonetheless, it happens. This is where they come as their home base. I just don't have as many kids during COVID, obviously. Second, I try to learn as much as I can about them in the beginning of the year. I do an in-depth survey where I urge them to answer all the questions, although I don't make them all required. Through these surveys, I can learn a bit about their home life, their backgrounds, their likes, their dislikes, other interests, just for that cultural knowledge, that cultural background of them. Third, I facilitate discussions. These are either whole class discussions, small groups, or individual students. They are informal and impromptu discussions that usually happen at the beginning of class or at the end, before and after students have changed in and out of dance clothes. Or these discussions happen before or after school while they're hanging out in the dance room. This year, like I said, I have less students. I only have 2 girls who come here in the morning, and they are hysterical. They both work at a fast food place. They work at 2 different fast food places. It's the same chain, just 2 different locations. Whew, not going to go into detail. I'm just going to say that I know way too much now, and I'm not sure that I will be eating the hamburgers from these places. I'll stick with the French fries. Anyway, fourth, and once I have created that dialogue and there's a degree of trust between me and the students, I give them choice. I always have a general plan, of course, most of the time, and I usually ask them for their input on the daily or weekly plan. This then facilitates discussion between students in class, and they become closer to one another. I know this has been a very hard year. It's taken quite some time to get this community building started in person. The classroom culture has been obviously upended and weird, and you've got your online and you have your in person, or if you're just online, it's awkward. So it's been tough, but it's finally happened. I have created the community and the culture in each class. And again, I think I mentioned this before, to help that just a little bit, I've let the in-person kids, let the online kids in the meeting. So, but I think in general, dance builds community quite simply. Professional community. Even though we are in different school districts, we're in different schools, we have different situations, dance is a universal language, and we can support each other in so many ways. Even if it's only informal conversations, it's just nice to talk to people who understand what you're doing and understand the challenges of what we do. Because I think it's somewhat unique, and especially in pandemic times. In my county, we're lucky. There are 20 dance teachers. We have 16 high school teachers, 3 middle schools, and 1 elementary school. So she's sort of on her own a little bit. I try to help her as much as possible. So while we are islands in our school, in our buildings, we do have each other to collaborate and to, throw ideas back and forth, share materials, etc. We have many opportunities to come together and talk. Just this week, I scheduled 5 sessions for next school year for us to get together. The county encourages us to come together. Our dance programs, we have a pretty set curriculum, and we give common assessments. So we stick pretty closely to our dance history and anatomy curriculum. Although our technique programs, I think, are wide and varied. Like some schools really focus on ballet, like mine. I do not focus on ballet as much. I focus on the modern and jazz aspects. So they're all different in that way. But no matter what, we can still come together and collaborate or just talk. And again, we have this new community here that I hope we continue to utilize. I think it's very important what companies are here, where are the professional level dance classes, what artists will come and teach a masterclass or choreograph for your program. So it's as easy as researching and seeking out artists to communicate with and to work with your students. I'm sure many of them will be willing to come to your school for guest classes or to set choreography. Before you do, just make sure, again, that you check your district's or your school's policies for guest artists. For us, we have to fill out like a packet of information, a little less than get their fingerprints for them to come in. All right, so our professional community here, and I mentioned a little earlier, we have DEGA, which is the Georgia affiliate of NDEO. We do all kinds of formal and informal professional developments. We have a Facebook and Instagram. And disclaimer, I am a founding member of DEGA. I'm on the board as the Director of Professional Development. So who are we? We're nonprofit. It's a Georgia affiliate of NDEO. Core values, professional development and resources for K through 12, promoting the art form of dance and lifelong learning for Georgia residents. Foster a community of dance educators invested in the growth of Georgia dance, and then cultivate opportunities for all Georgia residents to engage in dance experiences. So it's great. If you join NDEO with your school as a school institution, you will automatically be a member of DEGA. We have been doing this bounce house. It's like a virtual class planning party. We've done it every Sunday. It hasn't had the best attendance. Last week, maybe 2 weeks ago, I was the facilitator for one of them and nobody showed up. But this is, again, a great informal place where you can just say, hey, I need an idea for this, or I tried this, it didn't work. Can somebody help me out? It's just a great thing. I'm wondering if the time is wrong, if Sundays aren't working for people. So we might try to do it at a different time. And I can put the link, if anyone's interested, I'll put all that in the discussion post. And then last, we got to remember, we have this. We have the Godot communities that we can, get together and talk and figure this stuff out and advocate for dance and create our own community. So with that is all I have today, and I will see you next time. Thank you.